Welcome to State Engineering Service Examination SSCJ section of Winds of Change. For any problem, you can mail us at windsofchange2020@gmail.com, and to download the study material, you can download the app of Winds of Change from the Google Play Store, and the link of which is being given in the description box. Welcome to the third video in the continuation of top 120 questions of IS 456 and RCC. In this video, we will cover question number 61 to 90. So let's begin. Question number 61. When shear stress exceeds the permissible limit in a slab, then it is reduced by increasing the depth, providing shear reinforcement, using high strength steel, or using thinner bars but more in number. The condition here is being said that when the shear stress that exceeds the permissible limit in the slab, then how we will reduce it by? Think about it. We will increase the depth. This will be the first treatment that will be provided in case the shear stress exceeds the permissible limit in the slab. If we increase the depth, then the shear stress, that is tau equal to V upon BD. If D is increased, then tau will, that is shear stress, will decrease. Okay, so we try to reduce it below the permissible limit in the slab. Next question. Cantilever retaining wall can safely be used for a height not more than 3 meter, 4 meter, 5 meter or 6 meter. Here we are talking about the cantilever retaining wall that can safely be used for height not more than, what will be the answer, not more than 6 meter. That is option D will be the correct one. Cantilever retaining wall which will not be having any support at the top or anywhere else. The load will be from the earth side, okay, and this height, the height of the stem, there is a limitation on it that has to be less than 6 meter. Okay, if we are providing more than 6 meter, then we will need support. Okay, there can be a counter force that has to be provided. Next question. For normal cases, stiffness of a simply supported beam is satisfied if the ratio of its span to its overall depth does not exceed 10, 15, 20 or 25. Here we are talking about the simply supported beam, the case of simply supported beam in which L effective upon effective depth, that ratio should not be more than, think about it, it is being given in the IS 456. This ratio should not be more than 20, that is option C will be correct. For cantilever this ratio is 7, for simply supported this ratio is 20, and for continuous beam this ratio is 26. Okay, these are for span up to 10 meter. If it is more than 10 meter, then it will be multiplied by a multiplying factor of 10 upon span. Okay. Next question. To ensure uniform pressure distribution, the thickness of the foundation is kept uniform throughout, increases gradually towards the edges, decreased gradually towards the edges, or kept zero at the edges. Just think about it. To maintain a uniform pressure distribution, what we will do? Pressure will be higher below the column, okay, and it will be lower if we move towards the edges. So we will try to decrease the depth towards the edges. Okay, if the pressure distribution varies, then we will vary the depth also. It is just a pictorial representation, nothing else. Next question. The design of retaining wall assumes that the retained earth is dry, is free from moisture, is not cohesive, or all of the above. In case we design a retaining wall, what we assume for the retained earth? Just think about it. We will assume that retained earth, first of all, that has to be dry, that has to be free from moisture, it should not be cohesive, it should be cohesionless. So all of these will be the correct answer. So option D will be correct. Please memorize it, it is very important. Next question. Thickened part of the flat slab over its supporting column is technically known as drop panel, capital, column head, or none of these. Think about it. In case of the flat slab which is supporting column, there is a part of the thickened slab, the thickened part of the flat slab. What it will be called? It will be called as drop panel. Option A will be the correct. You can see here, this is the flat slab, okay, and this one, this is the thickened part, okay. This thickened part is called the drop panel. Okay, next question. Enlarged head of supporting column of a flat slab is technically known as supporting end of column, top of the column, capital, or drop panel. Just think about it. This is also case from the flat slab. Here we have an enlarged head of the supporting column. In the previous question it was an enlarged portion of the flat slab, and here enlarged portion of the supporting column. So enlarged portion of supporting column is called as capital. That is option C will be correct. In the same figure we will see it is given in second figure. This, let's say this is the column, and before the flat slab this area of it, the column, the cross section of the column, that is being enlarged, so it is called column capital. Okay, memorize it. These two terms are important, drop panel and column capital. Next question. According to IS 456/1978, minimum slenderness ratio for a short column is less than 12, less than 18, between 18 and 24, or more than 24. It is an easy question. For the case of the short column, what will be the value of minimum slenderness ratio? That has to be less than 12. Okay, below 12, the slenderness ratio below 12 is called the short column. Next question. Side face reinforcement shall be provided in the beam when depth of the web in the beam exceeds 50 centimeter, 75 centimeter, 100 centimeter, or 120 centimeter. This is very important question. Many a times this question is asked in various examination like SSCG as well as state service examination also. The side face reinforcement will be provided in the beam if the depth of the web of the beam that exceeds 75 centimeter, that is 750 mm. Memorize it, it is very important. Then only we will provide side face reinforcement. The value of it, that is the side face reinforcement, is about 0.1%. Next question. The weight of the foundation is assumed as 5% of the wall weight, 7% of the wall weight, 10% of the wall weight, or 12% of the wall weight. Here we are talking about the self weight of the foundation. If we know the wall weight, then what will be the self weight of the foundation that will be assumed? Just think about it. It is an easy question. The self weight will be assumed as 10% of the wall weight. Okay, we multiply the wall weight by the factor 1.1 so that we can obtain the weight of wall that will be carried by it and the self weight of the foundation also. Okay, next question. Columns may be called as pedestal if the unsupported length do not exceed their least lateral dimension 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times. Here we are talking about the case of pedestal. In case of pedestal, the unsupported length divided by least lateral dimension, that ratio should be 3 times. That is option B will be correct answer. Okay, in the pedestal, let's say this is the height and this is the least lateral dimension. So this ratio should not be more than 3. Okay, height versus, that is the unsupported length versus the least lateral dimension. From 3 to 12 it is called short column, and then it is called long column. Next question. The number of the treads in a flight is equal to riser in the flight, riser plus 1, riser minus 1, or none of these. Think about it. Treads are the horizontal portion, riser are the vertical portion. Okay, so let's say this is the stair. Here this is the tread, this is the riser. Let's say this is at the floor level and this is also at the floor level. So we can see here from this example only that there are 3 risers and 2 treads. Okay, so the number of the treads in a flight which will be equal to riser minus 1. That is option C will be correct. Okay. Next question. In a singly reinforced beam, the effective depth is measured from its compression edge to tensile edge, tensile reinforcement, neutral axis of the web, or longitudinal central axis. Just think about it. Very easy question. Effective depth is measured from the compression edge to tensile reinforcement. That is option B will be correct. Okay, from compression edge to the tensile reinforcement. This is called effective depth. Okay. Next question. If L1 and L2 are the lengths of long and short span of two-way slab simply supported on 4 edges and carrying a load W per unit area, the ratio of the loads split into W1 and W2 acting on the strips parallel to L2 and L1 is W1 upon W2 equal to L2 upon L1, W1 upon W2 equal to L2 upon L1 to whole square, W1 upon W2 equal to L2 upon L1 to whole cube, or W1 upon W2 equal to L2 upon L1 to the power 4. Just think about it. It is being given in the IS 456, the ratio of the weight in the longer span to the shortest span, if the span lengths in both the direction are L1 and L2 in case of the two-way slab. It will be option D, that is W1 upon W2 equal to L2 by L1 raised to the power 4. Okay, so memorize it. Next question. The advantage of reinforced concrete is due to monolithic character, fire resisting and durability, economy because of less maintenance cost, or all of the above. Just think about it. Why we use reinforced concrete? The answer will be option T, that is all of the above. It has monolithic character. Okay, the reinforcement is properly monolithically merged with concrete. Fire resistance and durability will be there, and there will be economy also because of the less maintenance cost. Initial cost may be higher, but the maintenance cost is very low. Next question. The spacing of transverse reinforcement of a column is decided by the following consideration. The least lateral dimension of the column, 16 times the diameter of the smallest longitudinal reinforcing rod in the column, or 300 mm, or all of the above. Here it is being asked about the spacing of transverse reinforcement in case of the column. Okay, or we can call it spacing of the stirrups in the column. That will be decided by. The answer will be all of the above, and we have to memorize it. It is very important. In the column, it has to be equal to either least lateral dimension of the column or 16 times the diameter of the smallest longitudinal reinforcement rod in the column. Let's say the smallest longitudinal reinforcing rod is of 20 mm dia. So this value will become 16 into 20, that means 320 mm or 300 mm, whichever will be the minimum value that has to be adopted as the spacing of transverse reinforcement. Okay. Next question. P is the pre-stress force applied to the tendon of a rectangular pre-stressed beam whose area of cross section is A and the section modulus is Z. The maximum stress F in the beam subjected to a maximum bending moment M is F equal to P upon A plus Z upon M, or F equal to A upon P plus M upon Z, or F equal to P upon A plus M upon Z, or F equal to P upon A plus M upon 6Z. Just think about it. This has to be A here. Okay. What will be the answer? Just think about it. If you have seen this formula anywhere, then you can easily answer it. The answer will be option C, that is F equal to P upon A plus M upon Z. Okay. This is because of the direct force, and this is because of the bending. Next question. The design of heel slab of a retaining wall is based on the maximum bending moment due to its own weight, weight of the soil above it, load of the surcharge if any, or all of the above. We are talking about the heel slab of the retaining wall. The heel slab of retaining wall that will be based upon the maximum bending moment due to all of the above, that is due to own weight, weight of the soil above is, as well as the load of the surcharge. Okay, so memorize it. All these forces has to be considered while designing the heel slab of a retaining wall. Next question. Steel bars are generally connected together to get greater length than the standard length by providing straight bar splice, hooked splice, dowel splice, or all of the above. Just think about it. Usually steel bars, they are being connected together by all of the above. Either straight bar splice can be provided, okay, directly two bars are connected like this, or hook splice in which hook has been provided at the ends, okay, or the dowel splice in which it is being doweled inside some member. Okay, so all of the above will be the correct statement. Next question. An RCC column is treated as long column if its slenderness ratio is greater than 30, 35, 40 or 50. Just think about it. When we call a RCC column as long column, it will be when the slenderness ratio is greater than 50. That is option D will be correct answer. Memorize it. Next question. If P1 is the vertical intensity of the pressure at the depth h and a block of earth weighing W per unit volume and the angle of repose phi, the lateral intensity of the pressure P2 is WH 1 minus cos phi upon 1 plus sin phi, WH 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi, WH 1 minus tan phi upon 1 plus tan phi, or W 1 minus cos phi upon H 1 plus sin phi. Just think about it. What will be the lateral intensity of the pressure, that is horizontal pressure P2, if the vertical pressure is P1? Just think about it. I think you know the answer of it from the soil mechanics only. There was a factor of Ka that is given by the formula 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi. So if we know the vertical pressure, here vertical pressure will be W into H. Okay, that is W is the unit weight and H is the height. So WH will be the pressure intensity, that is the vertical pressure intensity, and we multiply it by Ka. It will be option B, that is WH 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi. Okay. Next question. As per IS 456/1978, the pH value of the water shall be less than 6, equal to 6, not less than 6, equal to 7. Just think about it. What will be the pH value of the water as per IS 456 in case of the concrete structures? It should be not less than 6. Memorize it. It is very important. The pH value of the water when used in concrete structure, that should not be less than 6. Next question. To ensure that hogging bending moment at 2 points of suspension of the pile of length L equals to the sagging moment at its center, the distance of the point of the suspension from either end is 0.107 L, 0.207 L, 0.307 L, or 0.407 L. Just think about it. Hogging bending moment of 2 points of suspension of a pile of length L equal to the sagging moment. Just think about it. You have to solve this question, then only you will come to the answer. Okay, so answer will be option B, that is 0.207 L. Try to solve it. If you are not able to solve it, then you can comment me. I will upload the solution on the app of Winds of Change, where you will find it in the download section. Next question. Pick up the assumption for design of a pre-stressed concrete member from the following. A transverse plane section remains plane after bending. During deformation limits, Hooke's law is equally applicable to the concrete as well as to the steel. Variation of the stress in reinforcement due to changes in external loading is negligible, or all of the above. Here we are talking about the design of the pre-stressed concrete member. In case of pre-stressed concrete member, what are the assumptions that we will follow? The answer will be all of the above will be the correct statement, and I am reading them again. A transverse plane section remains plane after bending. After bending also, a transverse plane section will remain plane only. Okay, let's say this is the plane section. Okay, so this section which was initially horizontal, it will remain plane only if it is curved also. During deformation limits, Hooke's law is equally applicable to concrete as well as to the steel, that is the stress is directly proportional to the strain. Variation of the stress in reinforcement due to changes in external loading is negligible. Okay. Next question. Pick up the incorrect statement from the following. In the stem of a retaining wall, reinforcement is provided near to the earth side. In the toe slab of a retaining wall, the reinforcement is provided at the bottom of the slab. In the heel slab of the retaining wall, reinforcement is provided at the top of the slab, or none of these. Think about it. This is the retaining wall, let's say the earth is being filled here. So this one will be the heel slab, this one will be the toe slab, and this is the stem. Okay, so where will be the reinforcement provided in all these three? In case of this stem, it will act as a cantilever beam. Okay, so in this the reinforcement will provided at the earth side, at this side. Okay, here the reinforcement will be provided. While in case of the toe slab, that means this one, reinforcement is provided at the bottom of the slab. Okay, reinforcement will provided here, and in the heel slab of the retaining wall, reinforcement is provided at the top of the slab in this case. Okay, so here all of the above are the correct statement, so incorrect statement will be none of these. Okay, so option D will be the correct here, and memorize this is very important. Next question, pick up the correct statement from the following. Lateral reinforcement in RCC column is provided to prevent the longitudinal reinforcement from buckling. Lateral reinforcement prevents the shearing of the concrete on the diagonal plane. Lateral reinforcement stops breaking away of the concrete cover due to buckling, or all of the above. Which one are the correct statement or is the correct statement? Just find out. The answer will be all of these are the correct statement, that is option D. First of all, the lateral reinforcement. Here all the statement is about the lateral reinforcement. Why we provided? Lateral reinforcement in RCC column is provided to prevent the longitudinal reinforcement from buckling. Okay, in case of the column, the longitudinal reinforcement which are in the vertical direction, they do not buckle. So that is why we use lateral reinforcement, so that to prevent them in the position. Now, lateral reinforcement prevents the shearing of concrete on the diagonal plane. The concrete may fail in the diagonal plane, that will be prevented by this lateral reinforcement. Lateral reinforcement stops breaking away of concrete cover. This is also important because due to buckling, the concrete cover may break. So it will prevent the concrete cover which is outside the main reinforcement to buckle. Next question. The maximum ratio of span to depth of a slab simply supported and spanning in one direction is 35, 25, 30 or 20. Here we are talking about the ratio of span to depth in case of slab, and it is simply supported slab. It is not continuous slab and spanning in one direction. This ratio will be option C, that is 30. Okay, this span to depth ratio is 30. Memorize it, it is given in IS 456. You can revise IS 456 from the link in the description box. Next question. The width of the flange of L beam should be less than 1/6 of the effective span, breadth of the rib plus 4 times the thickness of the slab, breadth of the rib plus half clear distance between the ribs, or least of the above. Just think about it. Width of the flange of a L beam, that should be less than, the answer will be option D, that is least of the above. In case of L beam, the width should be less than 1/6 of the effective span, that is L effective by 6, breadth of the rib, that is BW, plus 4 times the thickness of the slab, or breadth of ribs plus half the clear distance between the ribs, or any of the above. Which one will be the least? But I will prefer it to not go for this question because this is from the older version. In the IS 456 that is preferred now, we should memorize these formulas for L beam and T beam, which will be asked. Okay, usually question from these formulas will be asked. Next question. The width of the flange of a T beam should be less than, the previous question was for L beam and this question is for the T beam. 1/3 of the effective span of the T beam, distance between the center of the T beam, width of the rib plus 12 times the thickness of the slab, or least of the above. In this also the answer will be least of the above, that is option D will be correct. 1/3 of the effective span of T beam, or the distance between the centers of the T beam, or the width of the rib plus 12 times the thickness of the slab. So memorize it, it is also important. Next question and last question of this video. The continuous beam shall be deemed to be deep beam if the ratio of effective span to overall depth is 2.5, 2 less than 2 or less than 2.5. Just think about it. When we call a beam as deep beam, the ratio of effective span to overall depth, when it is 2.5, that is option A will be correct. Memorize it. Okay, L effective upon overall depth, if this ratio is 2.5, okay, then it is called as deep beam. So here we will finish with the 90th question of this video. In the next video we will come up with the question number 91 to 120. Till that, subscribe to this channel and stay updated. And for any problem, mail us at windsofchange2020@gmail.com.